Now this is how credit scene should be done. Hello and welcome to this little video diary. And in this video I would like to talk about the game Marlow Briggs and the Mask of Death and my impressions of it after completing the main campaign, which took around 8 hours on the normal difficulty. Okay, so what is the game about? Well, the game is primarily about third-person combat, melee that is, and some platforming. So, let's dive into the combat. Is it any good? Well, it's alright. Now, the fighting is based around melee combat. So you have 4 different weapons, 4 different magic abilities, and you can, dodge and have some range attacks, and of course block, and it works alright. It's nothing spectacular or anything like that, but for the most part it works alright. The weapon variety is nice, and the game does manage to break up the combat so it doesn't get too repetitive. You also get to fight some bosses in the game, which is cool, but sadly they aren't all that breathtaking, and the gameplay related to the bosses aren't all that exciting. I also found that the combat later on in the game became a bit stale and repetitive, and also sadly a bit button mashy. Now the reason for this is that the game does the thing when it reuses all the enemies in the game but makes them black and more dangerous. And the thing is that you still know their attack pattern and so on, and it becomes kind of boring since you feel like you already have met them before. Not to mention that you also get a weapon that can cancel out enemies' attack, which means it becomes kind of button mashy. Now the game also have an upgrade system, which is cool and all, but sadly it becomes kind of pointless since you in most cases only can choose between one ability to upgrade. But it does give you some reason to explore and find experience, so I still believe it's a good thing. Another thing that I thought was a bit pointless was the drawn out action cutscenes. I mean, can't I get to do that? That stuff looks cool, come on. And also, while we are talking about cutscenes, there are some quick time events in this game. Ugh. Some of the quick time events becomes especially awful because of porting reasons. I mean, if the game refers to the right mouse click as P, power attack, then if it comes up press P, you would expect the game to expect you to press the right mouse button. But no, it expects you to press the button P on the keyboard, which can be a bit confusing. Okay, so enough about the combat. Let's talk about the game's platforming. Now, I really like the game's platforming, actually. I mean, it isn't challenging, it isn't complex or anything that we haven't seen before, but it's fun. It's mindless fun, and there are some cool traps in the game. Not to mention some cool slides we get to ride. But I don't want to make it sound out to be anything absolutely amazing, since it isn't. I mean, this game is a budget game, and it kind of shows. And fact of the matter is that neither the combat nor the platforming could alone carry the game. Together they make an okay mix, but the game relies on all its mini games and mini challenges to stuff out the gameplay and keep you interested in the game, and it kind of works. I would actually say that the game's variety is its biggest strength. Both the gameplay variety, the platforming, the combat, and all different kinds of mini games and traps and slides and so on, but also the environment variety. It's actually pretty cool. I mean, visually, the game isn't all that impressive, and if you try to look at anything too closely, that will kind of show. But there are a lot of different environments in the game, which I think is pretty neat. And as long as you don't get too nitpicky, I think they are kind of nice to look at. Now, while I'm talking about graphics, I would like to mention that I got some frame rate problems, despite the game's looks, which is a bit bad. But hey, I'm playing on a PC, so even though it sucks, I guess I have to lower the graphical settings. And this is where the game developers tells me to go fuck myself, which isn't all that nice. Shame on you, game developer. Okay, so before ending this video, I would briefly like to touch on the story of the game. Now, the story is pretty great, actually. It's about the ancient evil that threatens to awake and blah 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 blah. Who cares? No, but what I would like to mention is dialogue. That it's actually okay. I mean, it's not ha ha ha. I'm laughing out loud, but it's amusing and it's worth mentioning. It definitely is a plus to the game. Okay, so I would also like to mention that I played a game with mouse and keyboard, and it was functional. It wasn't anything great or spectacular, but it wasn't bad either, so it's alright. Okay, so thank you for watching.